Well, after how that went, there's definitely no turning back now.
There never was. Turning back hasn't been an option for me since the moment the professor slipped away to return to the desert.
You have to win. You need this power, both as General Mahamatra and for yourself.
Yeah, that's right! Besides, it stayed with you ever since you were a small child. Surely that's a sign it thinks of you as its rightful owner.
Both as General Mahamatra and for myself. Yeah, when you put it that way, I've had to overcome a lot to tame this power and claim it for myself. Not everyone could have done that.
Exactly!
The Traveler and I will never lose.
And neither shall I. The desert was home to an ancient and great civilization that, for a variety of reasons, fell out with the civilization of the rainforest. It's just as Dia said. Prejudice has pushed people apart. But there must be personal factors at work here too. I can't shake the feeling that Bamun cares for many more things than he lets on. And I don't think that Sethos is any kind of villain. He's just doing what he thinks is best. Tomorrow, everything will be resolved.
When the sun's out, bathe in sunlight. But when the moon's out, bathe in moonlight.
We gather on this day to perform once more the rite of duels, with the greatest of all sages, Lord Hermanubis, as our witness, for his power and authority is present in our midst. This is our most sacred of ceremonies, and no disruption from the audience shall be tolerated. It is incumbent upon all to observe the duel with the utmost respect and reverence throughout the proceedings. Representing the Temple of Silence, the Defenders.
Grandfather, you're here.
A rite of duels after all these years. I am surprised by your decision, Sethos.
I know what I'm doing, Grandfather. Just leave it to me.
Representing the Academia, the Challengers.
Ready. We will fight to have our voices heard.
Warriors, take your positions and decide on the order of battle. We come not to debate what brings our challengers here, nor what will become of the defeated duelists. Duelists, the might of Hermanubis himself is at stake here. Now, fight. Fight until the rightful victor is proclaimed!
Huh? Are you sure?
I agree. He's very strong. Sending him out first will definitely intimidate the opposing side.
Okay, then you're second.
Sure.
We have decided.
So have we. Let's begin.
Duelists of the first bout, please step forward.
Don't forget, safety first! Hey! You there! You better play nice with him or Paimon will make you regret it!
Little bit too much chatter from the audience over there.
Hey!
Scatter!
A swift end to the first bout. I now invite the duelists of the second bout to please step forward. When you're both ready, you may begin.
Let's begin.
Watch out!
He drank plenty of water before the bout, so he should be fine.
Keep up. One with the force. Let's nip that in the bud.
Thus ends the second bout. We will now move to the third bout. Duelists, please step forward.
I'm ready.
So am I.
This is the final stage of the rite. I remind you both that the terms you agreed upon in advance are binding. When you're both ready, you may begin.
I am Sethos, vessel of Hermanubis, grandson of Bamoon, the leader of the Temple of Silence. For many years, we have kept our covenant with Lord Hermanubis by guarding the secrets of King Deshret. And even in our darkest hour, when we could not see a way forward, we chose not to abandon hope, but to embark on a brave new experiment so that we might prevail. We earnestly sought Lord Hermanubis' wisdom and power, longing to see his spirit and his light descend upon us. Now, I will fight to become the rightful wielder of that power!
I am Sino, General Mahamatra of the Academia, student and successor of Cyrus, the Sage of Spontamod. I fight in defense of my power, my professor, and my nation. And you, I think you left some things unsaid. This is a sacred duel, and Hermanubis is watching. So bare your soul.
Everyone, old and young, fit and frail, they're all waiting to see how this duel will end. My grandfather is a wise leader. He is also known to be a ruler who is not afraid to get blood on his hands. I understand his beliefs well, and I know what he expects of me. But our faith has held us back for too long. After I grew up, I went to the rainforest once, and I saw for myself the people of the city. Times have changed. The people of Sumeru are happier and more free now than in the past. I thought about this as I stood at one of the tallest points in the city, gazing down at the streets below. Then I thought of you, Sino. You and I both wield the same power, yet the lives we lead could not be more different. Each Ba fragment of Hermanubis stands for something different. Might, glory, or one of many other secrets that have yet to be revealed. I once thought that the nature of our fragments must be what makes us so different from one another. But maybe it's that you've found your answer, and I am still searching for mine.
I am more than just a warrior. I am my own person.
Exactly.
The name Hermanubis has left its mark on both of us, shaped the course of our lives. We are his vessels, and yet we are more besides. So show me your answer, Sino. Show me I can be more than my faith, more than the power I wield. Show me the person I can become! Bring it on!
That's all you've got? What happened to searching for your answer? Fight's over.
Do you yield?
You won.
Well then, looks like you found your answer.
I give his glory to you.
I've seen that light. That is the light of our Lord, the great Hermanubis, priest over all other priests. His spirit dwells within that lightning, and his will lives on. Once a warrior of Tynar, he emerged from the barren desert sands to serve the god king Al-Ahmar. After the death of the god king, Hermanubis gathered his followers and the Tynarian priests and led them to the city of Tula. There, they founded the Temple of Silence, and from that day forth, we became stewards of all knowledge that survived from King Deshret's civilization. Barely a century passed before war ravaged the desert. One by one, Eremite leaders took up arms against each other in battles that would devour what little remained of their civilization. Only the wise city of Tula was spared under the guiding hand of the Tynarians. But peace did not last. Coveting the knowledge of King Deshret, the beasts set their eyes on Tule Tula. The king of Gurabad laid siege to the city and ordered the sages to surrender to him the Temple of Silence as proof of his victory. The ruling elite colluded with their oppressors, betraying the temple so as to hold on to their rule over the city. They declared that the knowledge guarded by the temple was the true cause of corruption. These were dark days, and we faced enemies on all sides. Our lord had long since exhausted his strength, keeping the forbidden knowledge introduced by King Deshret at bay. To ensure the temple's continued survival, he broke his being into many pieces and began the ceremony of Hermanubis' legacy, bestowing his power upon his mortal followers. With this power, the temple was able to defeat the tyrant's army. Yet, we were not hailed as heroes. Strange and unfamiliar as this power was, it struck fear into the people's hearts and drove them to reject us. In the end, the people of the temple and the Tule Tula Tainarians left the city for good and made their way to the rainforest. What followed next was inevitable. The elite of Tule Tula fell and were decimated. War engulfed the desert. And we wandered from place to place, always in hiding, all the while keeping close watch over our secrets and staying true to our mission. Betrayal forced us out of the desert and into the forest. Then mistrust drove us from the forest into the desert once more. We have lived in exile for far, far too long. Yet, today, the Temple of Silence has borne witness to the glory of Hermanubis once more. Thank you.
How is it? Do you feel okay?
Grandfather.
Hey, Sethos. You'll get through this.
I know. I'll miss him.
I guess you were prepared for this. It's been a long time coming, huh?
Yeah, he's been on death's door for a very long time now. I think it was only through sheer willpower that he managed to hold on to this point. At least, he was able to see this chapter come to a close before he passed.
What's next for you?
Per my grandfather's last wishes, the Temple of Silence should submit to whoever possesses the largest number of Hermanubis fragments. That entitles you to be our new leader, Sino.
But that's never going to work, as I'm sure you realize. I'm the General Mahamatra. I am needed back at the Academia. I did foresee this possibility, and I gave it some thought. The fact is, I know next to nothing about the staff, records, and environment here. As such, I am ill-suited to be your leader. Sethos, I believe the honor should go to you. Were it not for this duel, or indeed if you had other intentions, the Ba fragments would most likely be in your hands by now. I'm sure Bamoon never meant for anyone but you to be his successor.
You really think so?
I do.
Still, I didn't think Bamoon looked very surprised by the final result. Perhaps he had an inkling that this would be the way things end.
Well, in any case, since the Ba fragments are with me now, I guess I can call the shots. Sethos, I would like you to succeed Bamoon as the new leader of the Temple of Silence. You are more suited to the role than I, and I have complete faith that you will be an excellent leader. Just think of it as doing me a favor.
But doesn't that render everything that we've been through up to now meaningless?
No, it doesn't. This experience has allowed us to become friends, which means that the Academia and the Temple of Silence will become partners once more. That's a much bigger deal than you might think, Sethos. You said yourself, times have changed. You have to believe that things can change for the better here at the temple too.
I will try. To be honest, I couldn't have asked for a better outcome.
Actually, part of me wonders whether Bamoon's intentions from the very beginning was just to create enough pressure to force us towards a duel. That way, no matter who won, one of us would have to surrender our Ba fragment, and the power of Hermanubis would be concentrated in one single person. Had you won, the Temple of Silence would have doubled its strength. And were I to win, he correctly anticipated that I wouldn't suddenly drop everything to become the leader of the temple, much less integrate the temple into the Academia by force. He knew that the temple's future would depend not just on the guidance of Hermanubis, but the support of the Academia too. So he made it his responsibility to ensure his successor would be free from the burdens of the past. His plan meant that whoever ended up succeeding him, they would have an easier time interacting with the Academia. With one single letter, he lured out the professor. No matter what happened after that, it would result in a net benefit to the temple.
And here I thought the General Mahamatra wouldn't care for all these trivial details. You're absolutely right. Grandfather and I considered this from every angle. We had to find a way to mend our relationship with the Academia. In that sense, the right of duels was just a means to an end. Thank you for everything, Sino. As a gesture of our gratitude, to those that you and Lesser Lord Kusanali deem worthy, I will grant the honor of access to the Temple of Silence for their pursuit of knowledge. The Temple of Silence has a wealth of information on King Deshret's civilization, more than any other organization in existence today. In times when you need information that only we can provide, we will be here to support you. But you must be exceedingly careful with your selection of candidates, lest you lead humanity to repeat the same mistakes. By the way, Tainari, my grandfather was so happy to see you. You are a descendant of the Veluca Shuna, and we are the heirs to the will of Hermanubis. The story goes that King Deshret chose the sage Hermanubis from among the Tainarians and appointed him as his familiar. He went on to fight many valiant battles with his Tainarian companions. They always stood by each other, from the founding of the Temple of Silence to the fall of Tuletula. The Tainarians who left Tuletula joined their human counterparts in the rainforest. A few centuries later, when some of the group returned to the desert, many of the Tainarians chose to stay and put down roots in the rainforest. In all likelihood, those were your ancestors.
How fascinating. My father once mentioned that I was named after the Tainarians, but I never knew that my forebears had such a history with the Temple of Silence.
I like this story.
By the way, has anyone seen Cyrus?
Yes, Cyrus. You'll probably find him in my grandfather's room. He wouldn't show it in front of me, but I think he still has many fond memories of my grandfather.
If it's true that you and your grandfather really planned for everything to turn out this way, then I guess he didn't really resent Cyrus as much as he appeared to.
Who knows? Perhaps all of us, you, me, and Cyrus, we're all just pawns in my grandfather's plan to set things straight. He was awful like that.
Someone's got to make the decisions when history is at a crossroads. I will make a detailed report on all of this to Lesser Lord Kusanali, and arrange for an official delegation from the Academia to come and meet you in the desert. I'm sure you'll have lots to attend to in the days ahead, but once things return to normal, please come and visit the rainforest again. You should stay for a few days this time, and start to build some relationships. If we're going to work together, both sides have to get to know one another better.
I will. All right, well, bye for now, everyone. I'll be seeing you.
See you soon. Come hang out with us anytime.
What were you thinking, gallivanting off into the desert alone at your age? What if you take the bucket, You told not a soul what you were up to, designated nobody to handle your affairs, and left everyone scrambling frantically to try and figure out how on earth to clean up the colossal mess you'd made.
Oh, please, will you stop your yelling? What other choice did I have?
What do you mean, what other choice? Do you mean to tell me that after all your years of learning, and sagehood no less, the only idea you could conjure up in that white-haired walnut of yours was to shoot off into the unknown like some hot-headed 20-year-old adventurer? A one-man suicide mission, That's the best idea that one of the finest minds of a generation could come up with, is it? It astounds me that you survived the journey, and you're lucky that Ba Moon didn't finish you off when you arrived.
All right, all right. Honestly, the way you're going off on me, it's like you wish you'd been there to lend him a hand. Does it mean nothing to you that I'm your colleague and former classmate?
I've got nothing more to say. What's the point of berating an old bag of bones?
What do you mean, bag of bones? I'm a flesh-and-blood hero who, despite his old age, saved our General Mahamatra from being stripped of his powers. Okay, look. Fine, I admit it, I was in the wrong. How can I make it up to you? What about, A month's work at the Academia.
1 month? Try 3.
Inari's master is really laying into Cyrus. Let's give them a wide berth.
Professor brought this on himself. Don't pay any attention to him.
Wow, I haven't seen Master get this riled up in a long time. The last time he chewed someone out like this must have been back when I was still a student.
I think I'll go around and update everyone, tell them the situation's resolved. Want to come with me? We can go for dinner afterwards. My treat. You in?
Makes sense. I'm in.
Paimon's coming too! Let's go!
Hey, Kale.
You're back!
Well, look who we have here. Would you mind explaining to me what has been going on this past few days? I heard you all ran off into the desert and got embroiled in a major catastrophe.
All taken care of.
That does not answer my question. How could you be so careless? That goes for you as well. Yes, and you too. When you run into problems, you really ought to ask for help, you know? I've been around the block. Don't you think it would have made sense to involve me? And let's not forget, I know the desert like the back of my hand.
Now would not be a good time to attempt to argue with Farazan.
You're right.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the first time that I've had to talk to you about this sort of thing either. You need to learn that there are times when the right thing to do is get a more experienced member of staff involved. Do I make myself clear? Because if you don't,
Kale, please do something.
He's giving me the signal. Alright, guess it's time to play my ace in the hole. Say, Madame Farazan, I can see you're pretty upset, but, I was just wondering, remember that time you offered to give me a tour of the Academia? Does that offer still stand?
huh? Wait, did I hear that right? Kale, you remember? Wonderful. Well, of course the offer still stands. Come on. Madame Farazan will show you around the old classrooms.
Poor Kale getting dragged off like that. Also, check out Farazan acting like some sort of official Academia tour guide.
Kale! Cup.
Huh? What? Oh, right!
What do you mean, cup? You need a cup. I can get you a cup.
Oh, it's nothing. Just Master's way of reminding me to stay hydrated while I'm out and about.
It's code for let's reconvene at the cafe. Tainari and I used it while we were in school, and it's become something of a family tradition now.
Oh, that's kind of fun.
Mm-hmm. 2 people left. Let's bring them along too.
Go! Phew!
Am I hallucinating? Or do I see Kaveh and Alhaitham engaged in diligent studying?
We're just reorganizing all the books we used. Look, there's a whole mountain of them.
There's no rush. Nobody reads these books anyway. My sincere thanks to you both.
Yes, with your help, we resolved the issue rather swiftly and painlessly. And the outcome was better than we could have hoped for.
I see. The Temple of Silence resorted to rather unique means of self-preservation. It explains how they managed to remain hidden for so many years.
And it sounds like they managed to preserve a whole load of ancient documents as well. I'd love to go check those out if I ever had the chance.
That day will come. The Temple of Silence is a hugely important organization, and we'll be sure to maintain good relations with them in the future. Now, as a token of my appreciation, I'd like to treat everyone to coffee.
Sounds good.
Yeah, sounds great. Although after the last few days, I don't know if I can handle another coffee, but I can just order something else.
Sure. Let's go.
Go!
Ad Astra. Thank you for complete.
And then the Traveler just pounced on their opponent and knocked him right out cold. Then there was Tainari. He put up an amazing fight too. We ended up winning all 3 bouts. Whoa. Part of me wishes I'd been there to see it, but I'd have been biting my nails off worrying about you guys.
A truly edifying account of the events. Bereft of detail, but it has livened up the room all the same.
Hey, Paimon included all the juicy details. The Traveler just pounced and then waved their sword like this, then spun around and blocked.
Despite winning 3 bouts in a row, you still ceded the position of leader to him. That's very dignified of you, Sino.
Of course. Being dignified comes with being a true champion.
I got to be a champion too for once. I've not sparred much with desert folk before. It was a pretty unique experience.
Yeah! Huge place! It felt like something right out of an epic poem! Imagine this. It was like there was...
Maybe save that one for later, Paimon. Dessert's here.
I think that'll do me for today.
Shall we stop off at the House of Dana again before heading home? We should probably finish putting all those books back.
My thoughts exactly. See you around.
I should get going as well. See you all later. Make sure you get some good rest tonight.
I need to go say thanks to the Core 30 for their help. Also, Sir Nephis says he wanted to introduce me to some of the Academia's work processes. So, I gotta dash too.
Kali's come a long way. She's much more confident at dealing with other people these days.
Everyone's a work in progress. You never stop learning.
Yeah, true.
good. It feels like everything's finally wrapped up now. Life is all about these moments when you can finally relax and hang out with good friends after a job well done. And also, those desserts Sino got, they were really good. Paimon definitely needs more of those in the future.
Do you three have anything planned for the rest of the day? If not, would you come somewhere with me? That's a secret for now. Wouldn't want to spoil the surprise.
Okay, I think I can guess what you're talking about. It'll definitely be a nice surprise.
Well, now Paimon's curious! Come on, let's go!
Go!
Been a while since I last made my way up here.
Wow, look at this place! We're so high up!
Need any help? As you wish.
What a great view! We're so high up, we can see for miles!
Try. This is my secret base. Somewhere I only bring my best friends. When I was a student, I used to slip away and climb up here all the time, just to clear my head. I was quite young then, and hadn't made too many friends yet. Back then... Who am I? Why do I have this power? And what should I be fighting for? Our gifts help us to find our rightful place in the world. That was my time, too.
You two really are like brothers.
I feel the same way. Of course. I see no need to be humble when it comes to the facts.
I still remember one time when we came up here to chat and do our homework. Sino accidentally dropped a fruit. Luckily, he has fast reflexes, so he caught it just in time.
That was the one and only time. Nothing will ever slip through my fingers again.
Those were good times. I kinda miss the student life.
You know, Paimon really shouldn't be able to imagine Sino doing something like that, but for some strange reason, the mental image is coming through clear as day.
Then make it stop. There's somebody there. It's Professor Cyrus. You guys carry on without me. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Huh? Hey, you're not supposed to jump down! Be careful!
Oh my days. I can't believe how stupid I look in this one.
Professor, what are you muttering to yourself about?
Sino. Ha! Just the man I'm looking for. Guess what I found in some old notebooks?
Some old photos?
Can you believe it? This notebook was just sitting in a pile of odds and ends in the sage's office. I must have forgotten to take it with me, and no one's touched it since. It was still right there. I was at the Academia earlier to discuss my workload with Nephis. I swung by the old office to have a look around and just happened to cross it. Oh, time flies. Look how tiny you are in this picture. Still a kid.
You look quite young yourself in that one. Ah, it's this one. I remember that. Lisa took it, didn't she?
Yep. Looks like her work, all right. Who else could have found just the right angle to make me look so unbelievably hideous?
And this one. Looks like we're both dozing off.
Oh, cheeky girl. Taking secret photos of us without our knowledge.
Is there something you'd like to say to me, Professor?
Like what? Like, these are good photos, aren't they? Hey, at moments like this, I hardly know where to begin. I can't pretend I'm a good person. Bamoon had every reason to despise me. And well, so do you if you feel the same way.
Don't be ridiculous, you old codger.
Is that not what you wanted me to say? Oh, I've dreamt of that place many times after leaving the desert. Sometimes I've dreamed that I was doing research with them again. And other times, I dream of the day they saved my life. Oh, it was one of the happiest times of my life. We all learned so much from one another. You've matured so much over the years, I know.
Since you're my professor, I should save you some face by not calling you out on all the non-answers you just gave. So, I will do the right thing and keep my mouth shut.
Good thinking. Take your own advice next time. Seriously, why bully an old man like me? I thought heroes were supposed to be gracious. Hey, wait, how did I not notice this one earlier?
Lisa strikes again. Just how many did she take?
Look how cute you were when you were little. I remember how well-mannered you were back then, too.
Yeah, and look how serious and professional you used to be.
Oh, I can't compete with you anymore. First you get better than me at the deadpan jokes, and now you're besting me at those little quips too.
Don't say that. I still have a lot of respect for you.
Huh, that's more like it. Hey, what would you say to meeting up with Lisa again sometime?
I'd like that. Let's find a time and pay her a visit in Mondstadt.
All right, I'll add it to my schedule. Let's go next week. Wait, no. Next week is the tomato growing competition. I have got to beat Zaha Hadid.
Or you could find a real hobby, Professor.
You don't have to shout. I can hear you. Well, you got here much faster than I expected. I thought you'd have a lot more business to take care of.
Thank
Thanks to the Traveler, I was able to, pawn off various problems of mine onto others.
Onto others? What does that mean?
We can discuss that later. You're looking for me because of the thing you mentioned in the letter, right?
That's right. Please, follow me.
Huh? Go!
A monster? Why is there a monster here?
Don't be scared, Kale. This is the mechanical life form the Traveler and I saved a while back. Its name is Karkata. It's the final work of a late junior of mine.
You mean Abatui? He must have been a genius to create one of such polish all by himself. It's uncommon that a Spontamod researcher is able to create such an intricate machine. If he were still around, we could probably chat the day away. What a shame. Something seems wrong here. Have you been maintaining it? Mechanical life forms are much more fragile than they look.
Is Karkata sick?
Karkata has been lying down like this since a few days ago. It could be an old malfunction acting up again. I've taken a few courses conducted by Spontamod before, so I've managed to perform some passable repairs on Karkata's energy supply module. However, it seems the issue this time is with its transmission. My knowledge can only prevent its condition from deteriorating any further. But Madame Farazan, you should be able to find a way to repair it.
Not necessarily. Mechanical life forms are created using techniques from alchemy, elemental science, and more. There are multiple modules here that influence each other. A simplistic knowledge of mechanisms will not serve here. You know that as well. Each mechanical life form is very different from the next. So even I cannot be sure if my understanding of mechanical life forms is going to be of any use to our little crab friend here.
Karkata.
Can you all go outside for a minute? I need a bit of space. Before I do a thorough check, everything we've just said is but conjecture.
All right. We're counting on you, Madame Farazan.
Who knew that I'd encounter a mechanical life form in this manner after 100 years?
We'll wait here till Farazan finishes her inspection. In the meantime, I'd like to talk to you about her. Her past, huh? Quite a few people in the academia know about what happened to her. Perhaps it'd be best if I'm the one to tell you. I've told you before that she had disappeared for 100 years, right? From her perspective, trapped might be a more apt description. Her exact words were,
That ruin was crawling with traps and coded inscriptions from wall to wall. I did all I could to decipher the code and deactivate the traps to escape the ruin, but there was no way out. I lost track of time and I ran out of pen and paper. In the end, I had to use stone shards to write on the walls and on the floor to decipher the code. Then, before I realized it, I ran out of space on the walls and floor. I had to calculate all the possibilities in my mind. After that, my memory started to become fuzzy, and my cognition slowed down.
she doesn't remember anything else. including the location of the ruin, and how she finally managed to escape. When she was found in the outskirts of Sumeru a few years ago, she looked exactly the same as she did 100 years prior. However, she was in a stupor and struggled to form sentences. Only after a lengthy recovery period could she speak again. The academia speculates that she must have gotten trapped in an unknown ruin while researching machines a century ago. And because of the ruin's special properties that halted her aging, she was able to use those 100 years to crack the trapping mechanism and then escape. Though she had finally broken free, 100 years had passed. Everyone she knew and everyone who knew her was already gone. In the end, even the academia had to rely on century-old records in the Akasha to confirm her existence. Don't make that face. I'm not telling you this because I want to drum up sympathy. She wouldn't want others to pity her because of past events. Rather, she sees that period of entrapment as an experimental error. As a researcher, she must accept everything that results from her experiments, even if they don't fall within expectations. Even after going through so much, she's returned to Sumeru and still hasn't given up on her research. Due to changes over the years and drift in academic subjects, she holds some rather strong opinions about the current academia, and she has no shortage of detractors herself. What I want to say is that no matter what era we're in, Farazan is a true senior researcher, in every sense of the word. She has her own deep understanding of various ruins and machines. If there's a chance, you should talk about them with her. It'll definitely be helpful for your journey.
Master, Madame Farazan's done.
Oh, let's head over. With any luck, she might have figured something out.
I never thought that I'd encounter a restitution module once again after 100 years. Abatui really installed quite a few impressive things on this. If my guess is correct, this mechanical life form has displayed attempts at self-sustenance before, right? Such as collecting parts to repair itself, for instance?
It used them for something else, but as far as its design goes, it does have a function like that.
I knew it. If I'm not wrong, Karkata's issue lies with its restitution module. Abatui's modified this module extensively, but the core parts and design philosophy are very similar to the principles as I know them. They are all based on principles learned from the ruins. The creators of the ruins machine once tried to create a perpetual mechanism that could replace life or even surpass it. The restitution module is the result of one of their countless attempts. It replicates the behavior of living things to achieve a self-repair function. However, the energy required in maintenance of the module became an issue.
Energy consumption? Maintenance?
For example, a living thing's heart can deliver nutrients and blood to various organs. However, the bigger the living thing, the more powerful the heart needs to be. Once the heart is damaged, it'll be hard for that living thing to heal itself, and even the function of other organs can be affected. Thus, the attempt wasn't widely adopted. Even 100 years ago, I'd only seen it once before. Oh dear, this is going to be a problem. Based on my current research, I'll need to swap out the damaged parts in the restitution module to repair Karkata. But like I just said, the module is rare, even by the standards of ancient machines. Not only that, but there is very little related research documentation available. Finding suitable parts would be like trying to find a single gear in the vast desert, to say nothing of the difficulty in making those parts from scratch. One can only wonder where Abatui found the original parts.
I might have an idea. Abatui was, for a time, quite passionate about excavating the Great Red Sand. This was when he had just gotten expelled from the academia.
You mean to say he found a restitution module in the desert? Well, that is indeed possible.
But the desert's huge! How are we supposed to find the parts that Karkata needs?
According to the Academia's records, no similar parts have been found in the Great Red Sand over the past 100 years. If we want to try our luck, we'll have to explore ruins that have never been explored before.
I do know that a Vahumana researcher formed an expedition team after the sandstorms and earthquakes subsided. They are now exploring areas of the desert that used to be difficult to access.
Should we ask them if they've made any new discoveries lately?
The chances are slim, but it's at least more effective than running around like headless chickens.
His name is Raid. I think he's stationed at the northeast part of the Hypostyle Desert. Let's go look for him once Karkata settles down.
Oh, you and Kale should probably stay. Karkata's condition may be stable, but it would still be better if some of us stay to look after it. Besides, you still need to take care of the trouble that the Academia left for me.
Trouble from the Academia? I thought you said that you pawned it off to someone else. Wait. Don't tell me.
I'll let Kale fill you in on the details. I look forward to seeing your work, Tainari. What is this?
Halt! Mr. Raid's permission is required to proceed any further. That still won't do. Mr. Raid told us to keep people away from the ruins so they don't damage the site.
Damage the site? I've excavated more ruins than you've visited restaurants. Which batch of students is Raid from? I want to see him right now.
He isn't at the campsite now. You should all leave. Only he can give you permission to enter.
What a stubborn guy. You're right. Even if there is new information, we still have to wait for him to come back so we can ask him about it. So let's just see what we can find out from the people here. I'm going to give that Raid a good talking to when he gets back. Starting from who in the world mentored you?
That machine looks amazing! Could it be the legendary Ruin Wanderer? The location seems to fit too. Might that legend actually be true?
This area used to be ravaged by frequent sandstorms, but it's been calm lately for some reason. They say that this was done by a single traveler? But seriously, is such a thing even humanly possible?
The ruins? Don't know anything. We were only hired to deliver water and supplies to them. Forget excavation. They won't even let us get close to the camp where they're staying.
Well, I found out everything I could. Is there anything that stands out to you? To be honest, the ruins were difficult to excavate in the past, but they really are much safer now, thanks to you. However, I'm more concerned about this Ruin Wanderer they speak of. Ruin Wanderer. That's the first time I've heard that name. But that wreckage did seem a bit weird. It's a bit far away, and I can't really say for sure from this distance. Perhaps we should ask the villager from before about the legend first.
Huh? What are you guys doing back here? I wouldn't blame you for not knowing about it, youngsters. After all, it's a tale that's over a decade old. It's said that this monster, the Ruin Wanderer, traversed through various ruins for centuries. Many adventurers had claimed to see it while exploring. Some said that it was like a giant, while others said that it was like a beast. However, none knew why it wandered the ruins. Then, about 10 years ago, we stopped hearing any news about it in Sumeru. No one has seen it since then, and the legend has since faded into memory. You youngsters probably don't know about the Ruin Wanderer nowadays, but it was famous for centuries.
Centuries? Impossible. I heard nothing about it back then. It could only have been around for a few decades at most.
Wait, back then?
Indulge my curiosity for a moment. Why do you think that wreckage is the Ruin Wanderer?
Well, I had also heard that secondhand from...
You heard that nonsense from the Eremites after they got drunk, right?
Who are you?
Madam Faruzan, it is a pleasure. I'm Raid, the one who organized this archaeological expedition. I'd heard of you at the Academia, but I didn't expect to run into you here. Truly, it is an honor. And this must be the famous traveler, I presume. What brings the two of you here?
Have you found any special contraptions and relics in the ruins that you've been investigating?
I'm ashamed to say that we haven't found anything noteworthy, even though we've been investigating for a while now.
Really? That Ruin Wanderer isn't noteworthy to you?
I'm afraid those are mere rumors. Really, I sometimes wish that those people would put as much effort into their work as they do into gossiping.
You're right, sir. I'll get back to work now.
The wise do not buy into rumors, so it is said. I believe that you too, Madam Faruzan, do not put any stock into such baseless talk.
It is also said that real knowledge shall come from practice. I can help you research the excavated relics and see if I can find out anything new about them. You can take credit for any new discoveries. I believe this offer to be sufficiently attractive.
In truth, I could ask for nothing better than your help with our research. However, you two must be tired after a long journey. I'd feel bad if I set you to work immediately. It's getting late, and my subordinates and I are heading back to the camp to rest. Why don't you find a place to spend the night first? We can continue our discussion tomorrow.
There are tents over there that the villagers occasionally use to rest. The condition is a bit simple, yes, but I hope you won't mind.
Since you need to rest as well, let's do just that. This is quite far away. Are they trying to prevent the villagers from eavesdropping on them? This suits us just fine, though. This way, they won't overhear our conversations either. Now, I have my suspicions about this archaeological expedition team and that machine wreckage. I only caught a quick glimpse, and it was from a distance. But based on the condition of the armor and joints, it didn't seem like something that had been lying around for centuries. At most, I'd estimate that it only stopped moving about a dozen years ago. Yes, the timing coincides with the spreading of the legend. Now, assuming that it really is the Ruin Wanderer, how do you suppose it was able to maintain a relatively good condition despite high-intensity operation over the course of several decades? That's right. Technically speaking, the module shouldn't be able to move such a large machine chassis. However, I'm basing my knowledge on the mechanical life forms I've seen before. Well, this was over 100 years ago. It was a machine about the same size as Karkata, actually. It couldn't carry heavy objects or fight, and was only able to help me record some notes. It also helped me deliver letters home. I found it near the desert, which is why I wondered if there might be more restitution modules buried around here. Honestly, people in ancient times might have already solved the problem of providing enough power for all I know. I'll need to research this properly. Had I confronted Raid right there and then, he would have said that he couldn't tell that the machine was special. Then he'd just hand it over to the Academia obediently, and he'd get away scot-free. If the wreckage were to be handed to the Academia, it'd be much tougher for us to do research on it or get spare parts for Karkata. Anyway, we should figure out what they're planning before making our next move. They insisted that we should stay the night, which means if they're trying to pull a fast one on us, they're likely to try tonight. We must be vigilant. Are those sounds coming from the excavation site? I knew they wouldn't be able to wait. They must be scared that we might discover something tomorrow. Not a single person guarding the campsite. This must be quite the manpower expenditure. I'll see if they left any clues behind at their camp. Keep watch and help me stall them if it comes to that, would you? All right. I'm counting on you. Huh? Go!
Why isn't the tent here yet? We need to switch it out tonight.
It's still on the way. I'm afraid this is the first time we're delivering such a huge one.
You good-for-nothings are just a load of trouble, aren't you? We wouldn't have to deal with these interlopers if you had kept those lips of yours from flapping. Hurry up and hide our current tent and deliver the new one to me tonight, no matter what it takes.
Huh? Who's there?
I'm sorry. I'm just a bit upset because my subordinates aren't doing their jobs properly. When did you get here? It's nothing. Just a tent. We didn't pack up all our tents from the last campsite. Some of them, along with a few people, have been left there. Someone damaged our current tent, so I'm trying to get my subordinates to get one from that previous campsite delivered here. The relics in the ruins are highly valuable, so I'm worried that treasure hoarders and bandits might try to steal them. Since the tent isn't here yet and I can't fall asleep, I came here to patrol. Well, these things are antiques after all. There will always be people interested in buying them. I hired so many people precisely because I was worried about that happening. Speaking of which, I'd like to ask, is the Academia really aware that you've traversed through the desert to come here in the middle of the night? Also, where's Faruzan? Why isn't she with you?
I'm right here. Also, you forgot to address me as Madam.
Sorry, Madam Faruzan.
You were all making so much noise that I couldn't sleep, which is why I got the Traveler to find out what was going on. But for some reason, that one task took forever, so I came to check in on the situation.
I'm very sorry for disturbing your rest. I'll tell my subordinates to be quieter on patrol.
Good. Come on, Traveler. Let's head back. Yes, we came to check out the situation, didn't we? Well, we've already done that. We should get better rest so that we'll have energy to investigate tomorrow. Thanks for dealing with them. Now, I found something good on my end. These are the excavation records from their campsite. According to them, the ruins have been raided before, with numerous traps and contraptions having already been triggered. I also observed the wreckage up close earlier. The weathering is nowhere near as extensive as on the relics that have been buried for over 100 years. There's no doubt that the wreckage in the ruins don't belong to the same era. Instead, it must have wandered into the ruins about a dozen years ago. It could have fallen into a trap or encountered a glitch within the ruins, remaining stationary like that until it was discovered recently. However, I still don't know why they'd want to hide it. I have no doubt that the researcher could definitely reach the same conclusion I did. The last few pages of the excavation records are written in code, which I still need time to decipher. The answer may lie within those pages. It's just wordplay. And if anything, that's my wheelhouse. Just a bit more. Ah, I see now.
Help! Please help! Why are you running away? Come back! Protect me!
What's that sound? Is it? The Ruin Wanderer? Reactivated? That's impossible! Is this the work of some kind of hidden mechanism? Never mind. We have to focus on saving lives first. I'll cover them. You go stall the Ruin Wanderer. What? It ignored the Traveler?
Why is it chasing after us?
What could have caused it to reactivate? And to give chase?
Darn it! Hey, come on, you lot! It's clear that we can't escape, so let's just attack it!
It stopped?
Hey, you guys, get up there and tell me what's going on!
But what if it suddenly moves?
You good-for-nothings! Why is everyone I hired so useless? Move! I'll do it myself. Looks like this thing's parts can't handle the load of functioning anymore after years of disrepair. When it first reactivated, I was wondering if it'd be as amazing as the legends had pegged it to be. I didn't expect it to be so much weaker than it looks. How disappointing.
Disappointing, you say? Now, is that because you won't be able to sell it for much?
Faru-san, you may be my senior as an academia researcher, but that doesn't mean you get to slander me.
You wrote these excavation records, did you not? Or perhaps calling it a ledger might jog your memory a bit better.
I don't recognize that thing.
January 3rd, excavated 5 tents. January 5th, 3 tents sold. January 10th, 1 special tent pre-sold. It must quickly be switched out with an old tent. You're supposed to be an archaeological expedition team, and yet here you are, secretly selling the relics and profiting from it. When you believed that you had found the wreckage of the Ruin Wanderer, you tried to switch in wreckage that you had excavated previously to pull the wool over the Academia's eyes. After all, there would probably be many wealthy buyers interested in purchasing the legendary Ruin Wanderer in the black market, yes? And then we arrived just before you could finish your work. That forced you to speed up your plan, and you tried to complete the switch overnight before I could investigate the wreckage. In your haste, however, you accidentally activated the Ruin Wanderer instead. Did I get that all right?
I don't know what you're talking about.
You lack the curiosity befitting a man of knowledge, nor do you have respect for mechanical life forms. You're not fit to be a researcher.
Ridiculous! Curiosity? Respect? I'm not here to hear you preach. Hey! We're leaving.
Mr. Aid!
Behind you? Why is it moving again? Run!
Some said that it was like a giant, while others said that it was like a beast. However, none knew why it wandered the ruins.
Technically speaking, the module shouldn't be able to move such a large machine chassis. However, I'm basing my knowledge on the mechanical life forms I've seen before. Centuries? Impossible. I heard nothing about it back then. It could only have been around for a few decades at most.
Why is it chasing after us?
So you've been looking for me this whole time? see, Tamimi.
Dear Farazan, I hope you're doing well. It has been over 20 years since you went missing. People from the academia keep telling us to give up and that you're most likely dead. But somehow, I feel like you're still alive. Yes, that you live still in some corner of this world. You've always been persistent, able to shine no matter what situation you face. I believe that this persistence serves you well in surviving and finding your way home. Unfortunately, I likely won't be able to welcome you home when you do. I don't have much time left, and my reflexes have slowed. Others keep telling me to stop exploring ruins. Only Tamimi is still the same as before, always running off to places which you've been to. Your teacher and friends came up with an idea to remodel Tamimi so it can search for you in our place. You didn't like coming home back then and would always get Tamimi to send a letter back. Now we're leaving a letter with Tamimi. I wonder if it'll ever be delivered to you. I don't know the answer to that question, but if you ever read this letter, I hope it'll be when you've already found your way home. I regret not being able to say this to you myself, but I'll still feel sincerely happy for you, my dear daughter.
Welcome home, Farazan. Look at you, Tamimi. You've changed so much after all these years. Thank you for waiting for me all this time. I've safely received the letters. Your work is done now. You can sleep. Tamimi, the mechanical life form I encountered back then. When I would go on expeditions, it would follow me, take notes for me, and send my letters home. When I met with that accident, it was on the way to deliver a letter for me. I once thought that I'd never get to see it again. I didn't expect my teacher and others to remodel its self-repair function, upgrading it to self-learning. And so, in order to plumb the depths of unknown ruins and overcome dangerous traps, it repaired and modified itself using parts it found along the way. 1 decade of wandering became many, and soon... Tamimi, which used to be incapable of even moving heavy objects, became the Ruin Wanderer. All so it could deliver these last letters from them to me. The strain to support such a huge body must have turned out to be too much for your heart, right? Even after the remodeling, its restitution module still can't function perfectly in perpetuity. It has been pushing itself beyond its limits over the past few decades. Just like a living being, mechanical life forms have a limited lifespan. It probably became trapped in the ruins all those years ago because its shelf life had run out. It most likely only reactivated because it detected my presence. And then it mustered up everything it had to deliver that last letter. Now, it can finally rest in peace. Tainari told you what happened to me, right? You don't have to apologize. It's not like this incident is a secret in the academia. Besides, I've always treated it as a failed experiment. As a researcher, I must accept this result. However, finding out that so many people were affected by my failure does make me feel somewhat conflicted. Can you head back to Pardistii first? We've been here for a while, and it's best not to make Kale and the rest worry. As for me, I want to stay with Tamimi for a bit longer. Just a bit. Huh?
You're back!
Ah, how was your journey through the desert? Wait, where's Madame Farazan?
Oh no. She finally got to reunite with an old friend from 100 years ago. But
As a researcher, she could perhaps accept it. However, as a friend, student, and a daughter, we should give her some time. Let's just wait for her here. And in the future, I hope that we can be here to support her as her new friends.
I'm back! What? Is there to be no welcoming party?
We've all been waiting for you, Madame Farazan.
That's more like it. Now, here are some components I brought back from the desert. Switch these out with the ones Karkata is using right now, and it'll be back in ship shape. Huh? Why do you all look so solemn? Come now. Liveliness befits youngsters more.
Madame Farazan, did these parts come from...
Come now. I thought that you must have encountered some major problem. This isn't something you have to worry about. Well, it looks like you already know everything, but no need to feel bad. Like I said before, as researchers, we must learn to accept our failures. Tamimi had been operating beyond capacity for a century, and I'm unable to repair it with my current abilities. Not even with these parts. It would thus be much better to use them to extend Karkata's lifespan. As a senior, it is only right that I do something for the people who come after me. That holds true for both researchers and machines. Besides, I didn't say that I would be giving you these parts for free. They will only be used for Karkata temporarily. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to help me with my research. I'll be sure to revive Tamimi once I've fully deciphered and replicated the creations of the ancient civilization.
All right, I'll do my best to help.
Me too. Although, I'm not sure if I'll be much help.
Thank you. If they could remodel Tamimi successfully even back then, there's no reason why we won't be able to do even better. And when that day comes, I'll be sure to say... Welcome home, Tamimi.
Me? 'Cause I thought you were gonna say welcome home, Tamimi. 'Cause I thought you were gonna say welcome home, Tamimi. 'Cause I thought you were gonna say welcome home, Tamimi. 'Cause I thought you were gonna say welcome home, Tamimi. 'Cause I thought you were gonna say welcome home, Tamimi. 'Cause I thought you were gonna say welcome home, Tamimi. 'Cause I thought you were gonna say welcome home, Tamimi. 'Cause I thought you were gonna say welcome home, Tamimi. 'Cause I thought you were gonna say welcome home, Tamimi. 'Cause I thought you were gonna say welcome home, Tamimi. 'Cause I thought you were gonna say welcome home, Tamimi. 'Cause I thought you were gonna say welcome home, Tamimi. 'Cause I thought you were gonna say welcome home, Tamimi. 'Cause I thought you were gonna say welcome home, Tamimi. 'Cause I thought you were gonna say welcome home, Tamimi. '
Dilly churl bit.
So, Madame Farazan has some other things to settle. All right. And to think that Raid was doing all those things on the sly. It's good that you all got out of that situation in one piece.
Madame Farazan will be able to repair Karkata when she gets back, won't she?
I'm back! What? Is there to be no welcoming party?
Madame Farazan, we're over here!
That's more like it. Now, here are some components I brought back from the desert. Switch these out with the ones Karkata is using right now, and it'll be back in ship shape.
So this is a relic of an ancient civilization. Unbelievable. Thankfully, it didn't end up in Raid's unscrupulous hands.
Unscrupulous, huh? Sounds like you already told them what happened. Is that so? Thank you. We will talk about everything else later. It's nothing. I've already given all the evidence we have against Raid to the Academia. They're going to be very busy. Too busy to bother us, I'd wager. I'll start repairing Karkata then. Kale, can you help me out?
Of course!
Farazan went out after repairing Karkata. She seems to be looking for you for some reason. Well, I will not probe any further. However, if you need any help, do feel free to ask.
It looks fine, but even so, it needs to properly rest up.
Ah, you're here. Thank you for keeping Tamimi a secret. If I tell them about Tamimi, will they still feel happy for Karkata? Even if we could convince them to accept the components, they'll probably still feel bad about it. I don't want my past to affect people in the present. That applies to both me and other people. It's fine. I'm used to this. I once believed that I'd never hear from my old friends and family ever again. Even their faces are getting hazier in my memories. However, I could remember them clearly again after reading the letter Tamimi handed to me and learning that they'd never given up on me. That's more than enough. I'd be disappointing them if I let myself fall into a slump because of this. Neither my teacher nor my mother would have wanted to see me like that. Besides, you're lending a listening ear to me now, aren't you? Oh, Pardees DI looks pretty scenic at night. Will you take a stroll with me? Once Karkata's condition stabilizes, I'll find a chance to tell Tainari and Kale about all that. But for now, just help me keep this secret. Thank you. Whether it's 100 years ago or now, I have people who worry about me. I suppose I should consider myself quite fortunate.
The only time when I felt otherwise was when I had just returned to Sumeru. No one came to check up on me then.